The media calls it a loneliness epidemic, but they are misreading the charts. What we are witnessing is not a crisis of loneliness. It is a massive global market correction. Millions of men have not lost the ability to speak to women. They have simply run the numbers and realized the deal is no longer profitable. In economics, when the cost of entry exceeds the potential return, smart investors close their positions. That is exactly what is happening in the modern dating market right now. Men are cashing out, they are liquidating their emotional assets and moving them into safer harbors. This is not about fear, and it is certainly not about weakness. It is about risk management in a highly volatile environment. For the first time in history, the simple act of approaching a woman carries a liability that can bankrupt your life. We need to stop using emotional language to describe a logical phenomenon. You are not giving up on dating. You are executing a strategic retreat to preserve your resources. Let's look at the baseline reality of the modern landscape. 20 years ago, the worst outcome of approaching a woman was a bruised ego. She would say no, you would feel embarrassed for an hour, and life would go on. That was an acceptable risk for the potential reward of a relationship. Today, the risk profile has shifted catastrophically. The worst-case scenario is no longer rejection. The worst-case scenario is total destruction. It is the complete annihilation of your reputation, your career, and your social standing. We are living in an era where an awkward interaction can be criminalized. A misread signal is no longer a mistake. It is grounds for a human resources investigation. Men are rational actors. If you put a man in a room where pressing a button gives him a 50% chance of a cookie and a 1% chance of a nuclear explosion, he will stop pressing the button. The juice is simply not worth the squeeze. Society mocks men for stepping back, calling them incels or cowards. But these insults are just noise from people who want you to keep playing a rigged game. The smart money has already left the table. Let's conduct a proper risk audit of the situation. We need to treat your life like a corporation and analyze the liabilities you face. First, we have to talk about the legal and professional trap. The principle of innocent until proven guilty has effectively vanished from the court of public opinion. In the corporate world, a simple compliment can now be weaponized against you. I have seen cases where a man told a colleague she looked professional, and he was hauled into HR for creating a hostile work environment. The definitions of harassment have become so fluid that they change based on how the recipient feels in that specific moment. Subjective feelings have replaced objective rules. This creates an environment of impossible uncertainty. You cannot win a game where the rules are rewritten after you make your move. Imagine you are at the gym, focusing on your workout. You happen to glance in the wrong direction for 2 seconds while resting between sets. Suddenly, you are being filmed by a stranger's smartphone without your consent. Within hours, your face is plastered across social media with a caption labeling you a predator. Millions of people view it, judge you, and demand your employer fire you. There is no trial, no defense, and no context provided. Your career, which you spent a decade building, is vaporized because of a misunderstanding. Is the potential of getting a date worth risking your entire professional livelihood? The math says absolutely not. Men are realizing that their career is the only asset that truly loves them back. Why would you jeopardize your primary source of income for a high-risk gamble? Then there is the financial liability of modern relationships. We are dealing with a market suffering from extreme inflation. The cost of dating has skyrocketed, but the quality of the product has plummeted. There's a profound double standard that acts as a tax on men. Society tells us that women are strong, independent, and financially empowered. Yet, when the bill arrives, the expectation defaults back to 1950. You are expected to be a traditional provider, but you are not allowed to be a traditional leader. It is taxation without representation. You bear the financial burden of the dates, the lifestyle, and the entertainment. But you have zero authority over the direction of the relationship. She wants a man who pays like a grandfather, but submits like a modern progressive. This is a bad business deal. If you proposed a contract like this in the boardroom, you would be laughed out of the meeting. Furthermore, look at the long-term financial risk of marriage. The divorce statistics are not just numbers. They are a warning sign flashing in neon lights. Initiating a marriage contract today is like betting half your net worth on a coin flip. Actually, the odds are worse than a coin flip because the incentives are aligned against you. If the marriage fails, the family court system is designed to extract resources from the higher earner. Usually, that is still the man. You could work 80 hours a week for 20 years to build a portfolio. Then, a judge can sign 50% of it away in 20 minutes because you worked too much. Alimony is essentially a pension plan for a failed partnership. No other contract in the world rewards the party that breaks the agreement. If you break a lease, you pay a penalty. If you break a marriage, you often get a payday. Men are looking at this asymmetry and deciding that the only way to win is not to play. Beyond the money and the legal threats, there is the psychological toll. Modern dating feels like walking through a minefield while blindfolded. You're constantly walking on eggshells, terrified of saying the wrong thing. The list of forbidden topics and required opinions grows longer every day. You're expected to be a mind reader. If you text too much, you are needy. If you text too little, you are emotionally unavailable. If you express a preference, you are controlling. If you do not express a preference, you lack ambition. It is an exhausting performance that never ends. Your home should be your sanctuary, a place of peace. But for many men in modern relationships, coming home is entering a second shift of work. You have to manage her emotions, validate her insecurities, and navigate her tests. The stress of this constant performance raises your cortisol levels and destroys your peace of mind. Men are simple creatures who value peace above almost everything else. When a relationship becomes a source of anxiety rather than a source of support, it loses its value proposition. So, what is the alternative? This brings us to the strategic pivot. We are seeing the rise of what I call the ghost men. These are not the men complaining in comment sections or arguing on Twitter. These are the men who have simply unplugged from the matrix. They have gone invisible. They go to work, they go to the gym, they pursue their hobbies, and they go home to silence. And here's the secret that society doesn't want you to know. They are happy. They have discovered the ROI of solitude. Solitude is often confused with isolation, but they are different concepts. Isolation is when you want to be with people but cannot. Solitude is when you choose to be alone because you value your freedom. When you remove the drama of modern dating from your life, you receive an immediate peace dividend. Your bank account starts to grow because you aren't spending money on expensive dinners that go nowhere. Your physical health improves because you have the time and energy to train properly. Your mental clarity sharpens because you aren't constantly processing relationship conflict. The ghost men are using this surplus energy to build empires. They are starting businesses, mastering new skills, and traveling the world. They are realizing that freedom is the ultimate luxury asset. Imagine waking up on a Saturday morning with absolutely no obligations. You don't have to visit in-laws you dislike. You don't have to apologize for something you didn't do. You can get in your car and drive anywhere, buy anything, or do nothing. That level of autonomy is addictive. Once a man tastes that true freedom, it is very hard to lure him back into the cage. Society tries to shame these men by saying they will die alone. But these men are building a parallel society. They are finding connection through brotherhood, not romance. Male friendships are based on shared activities and mutual respect. They are low maintenance and high value. You can hang out with your friends, work on a project, or play sports. And there is zero risk of a false accusation. There is zero risk of losing half your stuff. Men are rediscovering the joy of male spaces, from garages to gaming Discord servers. These are safe harbors where they can speak freely without being policed. We are also seeing men substitute the need for female validation with the pursuit of excellence. When you stop chasing women, you start chasing your own potential. The energy that used to go into sliding into DMs now goes into building a side hustle. And let's be honest about the physiological needs. Technology and the service economy have provided safer alternatives. Men are pragmatic. If the biological need can be met without the risk of a lawsuit or a lifetime of alimony, they will choose the path of least resistance. It is a cold, hard calculation, but it is a rational one. The rise of digital companions and advanced entertainment is not a cause of the problem. It is a symptom of the risk profile. Men are choosing simulated intimacy because real intimacy has become too expensive. Some men are looking at geographical arbitrage, famously known as the passport bros. This is another form of market correction. They are taking their resources to markets where their value is appreciated and the legal risks are lower. It is no different than a corporation moving its headquarters to a tax-friendly jurisdiction. If the local market is hostile to your existence, you move to a market that welcomes you. This is not abandoning your country, it is protecting your future. Now let's talk about the end game and the new portfolio you should be building. You need to understand the power of walking away. In any negotiation, the person who is most willing to walk away holds all the power. For decades, men have been terrified of walking away because they were afraid of being alone. But now that men are realizing that being alone is actually pretty great, the dynamic is shifting. You have the leverage. You are the prize. You are the provider, the protector, and the builder. If the market does not offer you terms that respect your value, you withhold your supply. This is a strike. It is a silent, unorganized, global strike of male attention and resources. And it is working. You can see the panic in the articles written by confused women and social commentators. They are asking, where have all the good men gone? The good men are still here. They are just hiding in plain sight, protecting their peace. So, what is the call to action for you? It is simple. Hold your position. Do not let shame tactics bully you back into a bad deal. Invest in the 3 pillars of your own life. First, invest in your health. A strong body is the foundation of a strong mind. Lift heavy weights, eat clean, and sleep well. Second, invest in your wealth. Financial independence is the only thing that guarantees your freedom. Stack your cash, buy assets, and build streams of income that no one can take away from you. Third, invest in your peace. Curate your environment ruthlessly. Cut out toxic people, whether they are romantic interests or negative friends. Make your life a fortress where stress is not allowed to enter. Don't worry about finding a partner. If the market conditions change, you can reconsider your position. But do not try to catch a falling knife. Let the market crash. Let the unreasonable standards collapse under their own weight. You have the time. Men age like wine. We gain value as we get older, wealthier, and more established. You are in no rush. The frantic urgency to settle down is a trap designed to get you to sign a bad contract early. Resist it. Embrace the silence. Embrace the freedom. You have retired from the dating market not because you are broken, but because you are smart. You are a strategic investor who refuses to buy an overvalued asset. Keep building your life for yourself. The ultimate power move is to be so content with your own life that adding a woman is an option, not a necessity. When you no longer need them, you can no longer be manipulated by them. That is true liberation. Welcome to the era of the strategic retreat. Your peace is your profit. Protect it at all costs. Consider the reality of the daily grind for the modern man. You wake up, you commute, you work hard to provide value to society. The last thing you need is to return to a battleground. Relationships used to be the respite from the war of life. Now, they are often the front line of the war itself. Why volunteer for active duty in a conflict you cannot win? The smartest generals know when to avoid a battle to win the war. By withdrawing, you are winning the war for your own sanity. Look at the friends you have who are married and miserable. Look at the guys who lost everything in a divorce settlement. They are the cautionary tales that the media ignores. But you see them, you know the truth because you see it in their tired eyes. They envy your freedom even if they won't admit it publicly. They are trapped in a system that views them as utilities, not human beings. You have escaped that trap. Do not let anyone convince you to walk back into it. The narrative is shifting, slowly but surely. More men are waking up to the reality of the deal. They are sharing information, supporting each other, and refusing to be shamed. This is a quiet revolution. It is not televised, but it is happening in every gym, every office, and every city. Men are redefining what success looks like. Success is no longer a wife, a mortgage, and a life of servitude. Success is autonomy. Success is waking up and doing exactly what you want to do. Success is having resources that are yours to control. This definition of success terrifies the establishment because it cannot be controlled. A man who needs nothing from the system is a man who cannot be ruled. So stand firm in your decision. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Travel to places you have always wanted to see. Learn the skills you have always wanted to master. Become the best version of yourself, not for a woman, but for yourself. The irony is, this makes you more attractive than ever. But by then, you will have realized that you don't need the validation. You are complete on your own. And that is a dangerous, powerful place to be. The strategic retreat is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your best chapter. It is the chapter where you finally put yourself first. So let the critics talk. Let the articles be written. Let the confusion spread. You will be too busy living your best life to notice. You have made the smart investment. Now watch it compound. This is the new way. This is the smart way. Stay safe, stay free, and stay focused.